Hey guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back. I'm not going anywhere. Boost! Peekaboo, I see you because I'm YouTube famous now. Available summer 2027, the album. Dad, shimmy, shimmy, F. Honey, the land. Hey, little thing, let me light your candle, cause mama, I'm sure I can handle now. Yes, I am. I went to a party last Saturday night. I didn't get laid. I got in a fight. Kiss me once. How are you guys doing today? Oh my gosh. Well, the land, honey, the land. Today I was going to do a deep dive into Sylvia Browne, who was my favorite psychic of life. Have you guys been seeing all these memes and GIFs and things going around about Sylvia Browne? Okay, so I was going to do this video today, this deep dive into Sylvia Browne. For those of you that have not heard me mention Sylvia Browne for the last, well, the 9 years that I've been on YouTube, I loved Sylvia Browne. I did. My ex and I, we would record her on the Monn show every Wednesday, and then we would come home with our fountain pops, and we would watch Sylvia Browne every Wednesday on Monn. And in my spiritual journey of life, her book, The Other Side and Back, was profound and fundamental to my spiritual change. But I actually, if you ever have seen, you can look it up on YouTube. It's called something like Sylvia Browne is a Fraud. And it's this episode where this woman's in the audience and like Sylvia never misses a beat. And she's talking and the woman's like, you know, like my husband and he was a firefighter on 9/11 and blah, blah, blah. And they never found him. And she said, before she even gets to that part though, Sylvia's like, he drowned. And then when she says, well, he was a firefighter on 9/11, she's like, yeah, the fire hoses, he drowned. Like I was like in that moment, I'll never forget, I looked at my ex and I was like, she is such a fake. Like, I was like, oh my God, she is such a fake. I was so devastated. I swore Sylvia Browne was the real deal. I loved her so much. I did. And then I loved Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium. I loved her so much. And my friend, Tanya Jean, my best friend, she knew how much I loved her. And so a couple years ago, she got us tickets to go see Teresa Caputo. And so we went and saw her at, I think it was the Murat here in Indianapolis. And we went and saw her. And I was like, I believed Teresa Caputo was like the real deal. I was like, she is legit. I watch all the psychic shows. I love psychic mediums. I love all that kind of stuff. I've seen so many psychics myself. I believe in that stuff 100%. So they do this thing called, what it's called cold reading, okay? And so if you've ever seen Teresa Caputo live, you'll know what I'm talking about. So she goes to an audience and she'll look over at like, my friend and I were sitting there. First of all, Tanya Jean paid like $300 for these tickets, okay? And we were sitting here talking to these women next to us, and Tanya's like, we're way in the back, and Tanya bought these expensive ass tickets because she thought we were gonna be way up in front, and then we would get a reading from Teresa Caputo. So Tanya's like, I was like being friendly with the woman next to us, and Tanya's like eating her popcorn, and she's like, ask these women how much they paid for these tickets. And so finally, the woman said something, I can't remember how it went, but she said something like they paid like $30 or $50. Tanya's like, what? So then Teresa Caputo comes out on stage, and she's like, if there is not a ticket that is more expensive than $100 in this room, so if you paid more than $100 a ticket, then you bought them from like this fan group that like scalps tickets. Tanya was so pissed. So then what she does is she goes to like a group of like 100 people, and she'll say, I'm getting a male energy. Like, is there and then she names off like every male. She's like, is there a male friend, uncle, brother, father, grandfather that passed after 1950, okay? And then like 100 hands go up. And then she'll like look at the 100 hands, and then she'll go, did any of them have a name that started with either S, T, or J? And then like half the names go down, right? And then there's like 30 hands still up. And then she'll go, okay, I think it's this section over here. And so then she's got a section of like 20 people, the other hands go down. So then she'll look at the 20 people, and then she'll say, I'm feeling like it's somebody that died from like a lung or a heart issue. And then like the other half the hands go down. She narrows it down to like 3 people that are kind of sitting next to each other. And then she'll start talking, and she'll say, I think it's you. And then if it's wrong, she'll go, no, it's got to be you. Teresa Caputo is a fake. She's 100% a fake. Now, I don't know, like, people have defended her in my comment sections when I shared this story before, and they're like, no, she's like, people are like, what does this have to do with Mikayla Nogueira and Robert Welsh? It has absolutely nothing to do with that. We're getting to this in just a second. But anyway, so people are like, they're like, well, it's really hard to, like, do readings in large groups of people. Then she shouldn't be selling tickets to do it in large groups of people. But anyway, so today I was going to do this deep dive into the fake fraud of Sylvia Browne because I loved Sylvia Browne back in the day. Honey, the land. Honey, the land. But I was going to do this deep dive. But anytime I try to do something any different on this channel, okay? Like, for years and years and years, people were like, you always talk about the same 5 or 6 people. I do. She do. I know that. Okay? I'm not like, listen, this is... I know I talk about the same 5 or 6 people over here because they're the same 5 or 6 influencers that I know a lot about. But anytime that I go a little bit away from that, then people are like, well, why aren't you talking about this stuff anymore? So yesterday, I did a sister wife and welcome to Plathville video over here. And I got a comment. It was a nice comment. Somebody was like, is he done doing influencer drama? Baby, Robin Brown is an influencer from Sister Wives. She's got Sister Wives Closet, okay? She is full-on influencer. No, I totally understood what they meant. They were like, and then I kind of felt bad. I was like, oh, do people miss, like, the beauty influencer drama and stuff? And so I was like, okay. So as far as, like, beauty influencer drama or influencer drama and stuff, here's kind of where I'm at with it, in all honesty, okay? That there was a good 2 years that I was, like, doing a lot of videos that were very, very dark, heavy subject matter. And I think that those conversations were important. And I'm going to continue to have those serious conversations over here because I think that those conversations are important. But it really, like, brought me down, okay, emotionally. Like, I would get done filming a video and it just, like, the rest of the day, I just was, like, even talking about it was just really brought me down. And so I'm really trying to have some fun over here because I want this to be an escape for you guys as well. Not that I don't think that those conversations are important. I'm going to continue to have those conversations. But I also want to have more, like, get back to what I started doing over here initially, which was just talking about interesting, not necessarily always funny, but interesting, you know, beauty influencer, YouTuber, influencer drama as well. So I saw this story come up. Here we go. Okay, so I was going to do the Sylvia Browne thing today, but then I got that comment yesterday, and then I felt bad, and then I was like, okay, I need to do some kind of influencer drama. So I went over to, I'm giving you the behind the scenes, okay? So I went over to the Beauty Guru Chatter over on Reddit, and they're very, very fair over there. They post a lot of stories just about, like, makeup influencers and makeup trends and things like that. And so I saw this story come up about Robert Welsh. Robert Welsh is somebody that I don't follow him. I don't follow any of these people on social media. But, I mean, I followed his career for several years now. I don't watch a lot of his videos, but I have in the past. I think he is somebody that is well-respected within the beauty influencer space, for being honest. I think the majority of the time, I think people respect his opinion. They respect his reviews. They respect his word when it comes to beauty influencer space. And unless it's something like he has a controversial opinion or something, they rarely post about him over there. And so I was like, what is this post about? And so I saw this thing come up and it said, Robert Welsh questions if and why Instagram is applying filters to his content. And so I went over here and I was like, what is this about? And I'm just going to read it to you straight from the thread. And I'm going to show you the TikTok, Instagram that he put up, okay? Robert's new Instagram video calls out that he's had multiple recent comments asking him about why his Instagram content has filters on it, despite his promises that he doesn't add any himself. I quite like Robert, and I believe him when he says he isn't doing this, and he shows examples from fans where Instagram seems to have forcibly applied filters to his content. He also observes that Instagram appears to have applied filters to his lips when trying lip products, and to his skin when trying skin products. Almost as if an AI detected the type of content and applied a filter accordingly. This goes above and beyond the compression, low quality of videos on Instagram, which can sometimes appear to give a filtered effect. His features are getting exaggerated, which if you look at, he shows it in the TikTok and the Instagram. I mean, they definitely are. If Instagram is doing this without creator consent, that's messed up. And it can't only be happening to him. That comment is important, okay? It can't only be happening to him. I have no reason to doubt this, as he generally has a lot of integrity. Have any other creators or brands noticed or called this out? How long has this been happening? And there's this long conversation about it in here, okay? But immediately when I saw this, I was thinking back to this TikTok that Mikayla Nogueira had put out. I think it was about a week ago. I'm going to show you both of the TikToks, okay? But Mikayla put this TikTok out about a week ago. And in it, she's addressing a couple different things. But one of the things that she addresses, she's really addressing of how she does not consider herself like a good-looking woman. It's a very sad TikTok. Like, when I watched it, I don't know. My heart kind of felt for Mikayla. I think that I'm not defending, I think it's easy when we look at these people to say they did like 1 to 20 bad things and so they're just horrible people across the board. I think when you do enough things that consistently it shows your character of who you are, I think that's one thing. Mikayla will do something like mascara gate, okay? And then never address it. And I think that it reduces her integrity. And I think it takes away the quality of her as a makeup reviewer. But then she'll share other things and I'm like, okay, like I can see her as a human being in this moment. Mikayla is somebody that for me, I kind of go back and forth with a lot. And so when I watch this TikTok of hers, like what I said, I was going to show it to you. It's very long. So I don't know if I'm going to like clip off the end of it or whatever, because she talks about going to this convention. But she's talking about how she does not believe, she's lacked a lot of confidence. She doesn't believe that she's a conventionally good looking woman and that she doesn't like her picture taken in public because, I mean, to be honest with you, I related to a lot. The relatability of Mikayla kind of at times is, I think, the likability quality about Mikayla. And I think it's been that from the very beginning. But she talks in there about like the skin under her arms and, like her stomach and whatever. She says in there she's 4'11". I did not realize my mom was 5 foot. My mom was short. I did not realize that Mikayla Nogueira was that short. But she talks in there about she does not know why her TikToks, she looks different in her TikTok than when she takes a picture in public. And she said that there's all these accounts online and people that are constantly putting pictures of her side by side of when she's in public, how she looks so drastically different than when she's on TikTok. She stands on the ground. The hill that she will die on is that she does not use filters in her TikTok. She says that. She says she edits her TikToks, but she does not use filters in her TikToks, in her pictures. She says she edits them, but she does not use filters. Now, this is important because for years and years and years, people have criticized Mikayla Nogueira for using filters. Now, the reason that this conversation is important, okay, when it comes to beauty influencer space, I don't have an issue, and I've said this in multiple videos, okay? I don't have an issue with people out there that want to take a picture of themselves with their dog or, sitting in a chair or doing whatever they're doing and they want to filter the hell out of it to the point where they look like a cartoon character. Do it if it makes you feel better about yourself, okay? I have no issue with it. I mean, I see photoshopped, filtered pictures all the time that I'm like, I know you in person that don't even look like you, okay? I mean, I see that from hundreds of people online. I might put on Cool Vivid on Instagram or something like that, but I don't even know how to do the filters, okay? Listen, I am not afraid of like showing how I look with all the wrinkles. Baby, I earned them wrinkles, okay? I earned every single one of them. And I think I look okay for 53, but the video, it made me really sad because, we'll get to that in just a second. The reason why it's an issue when it comes to beauty influencers and the reason why people have criticized Mikayla for years for possibly using filters or they say that she's using filters is because she's reviewing makeup and selling it to people, okay? So if she is using filters, then it's a dishonest review because she's showing a dishonest representation of what the makeup will really look like. If she's using a filter, because the filter is not a true representation of what the makeup or the skincare would really look like unless if she wasn't using a filter. So that's why it's a huge issue when it comes to makeup influencers reviewing, selling, being sponsored by makeup and skincare brands, okay? That's why it's a huge issue. Because if you're using filters, then it's a dishonest representation to sell the products, okay? Or you're giving a dishonest review of the products because it's a filtered response to it, It's like, anyway, so that's why people have taken issue with it. It's not the fact that people could give a rat's ass if Mikayla wants to filter the ass out of her pictures. It's the fact that she is selling products. She is being paid to sell these products by her sponsorships, which she has shown that she's gotten, Birkins and trips and Gucci bags and Louis Vuitton. I mean, she's gotten paid a lot of money and gifted a lot of things for her very positive reviews. We just saw that with Tear Cheer not too long ago. I think it was like a year ago. And so she's paid for these positive reviews. Well, if she's doing these positive reviews and hiding behind a filter, then they're dishonest reviews. And that's not fair to the normal consumer out there, that's going to buy these products and believe that they're going to look and have the same results that Michaela does behind a filter. Now, if she would get on there and say, I'm using a filter, the products won't look the same way for you as they do for me because I'm using a filter, that would be a different thing. But she has stood her ground and said she does not use filters, okay? So when I saw this Robert Welsh thing come up, I immediately thought of this TikTok that people had sent me from like a week ago. And like I said, it's a very sad TikTok. I mean, Michaela cries in it a lot. She even says at one point that she's like putting her makeup on with tears or whatever. It's sad. I mean, she's just talking about how she's like never felt comfortable in her own skin and she lacks confidence and that she hates her like her profile and that people take pictures and, I don't know. I think like as many people out there that don't like Michaela, there's a lot of people that do and she's a role model for. And I think that one of the things that I do like about her video, even though the video made me sad, okay? And I don't know how I feel about the filter thing. We'll get to that in just a second. But one of the things that, because she's in there talking about how people are like knocking her for how she looks and whatever, and people have criticized Michaela. I think, I've said this for a long time. When you're talking about like criticizing somebody online, okay? That there's a lot you can criticize Michaela for. You can criticize her for being dishonest in her reviews. You can criticize her for not disclosing sponsorships. You can criticize her for never having addressed mascara or lash gate or whatever that was called, okay? You can criticize her for a lot of different things. I don't understand why we need to go for the low-hanging fruit. I've never understood that with anybody, whether people are coming for this person or that person or whatever. It's like people want to come for people's addiction or they want to come for their looks or they want to come for their weight. I've never understood that. To me, that is such low-hanging fruit that what it says is you really have nothing else to go on. And so what it really does is it minimizes the conversation. It minimizes the argument that you have with this person. So if you really take issue with Mikayla Nogueira because of her stance as a beauty influencer, and you take issue with the fact that she doesn't disclose appropriately from time to time, or that she never addressed Lashgate, or that she doesn't address a lot of things that are people bring up to her. That's your issue with her. But then you go for things and you throw up a picture of like her body, or you want to body shame her, or you want to shame her for this or shame her for that. To me, that's low-hanging fruit. And I think at that point is when the conversation gets skewed. And then it takes it away. It's a distraction from what the real conversation is. Because then what you're doing is you're attacking that person for everything, okay? And when you start attacking somebody for literally everything, it's not just the stance that you have or the issue that you take with them, okay? That when you start attacking that person for everything, whether it's for their looks or this or their voice or filters or you're attacking them for everything, what that really truly says is, I don't like this person, okay? And that's fine. We can like who we like and not like who we like, but it reads very much that way instead of critical thinking, which is, I'm going to criticize this person for just these things, okay? And I think that that's really important. I think that's why it's important as a commentary channel that I like give props when props are due, and I look at people overall. When everything that you say about somebody is constantly negative, then you're not seeing that person objectively as a human being. Does that make sense? With some of the people that I cover, it's very, very hard. It's very hard to be objective, but I try to be, even in talking about their pets and, lavish lifestyles and, good things that they've done in the past or money that they've donated. I've tried to bring recognition to those things to see them fully as a whole human being. Because I think that when you are knocking somebody for everything about them, that shows like truly that you just don't like that person. Which that's fine. We don't have to like anybody in this world. But then it takes away the criticism. It takes away what the real issue is. Okay? Those things for me are non-issues with Michaela. I honestly think that Michaela getting in a TikTok, and I would say the majority of the comments, I went down like 100 comments on her TikTok, and they're all in support of her. They're all talking about how gorgeous she is and how beautiful she is, and they wish she wouldn't talk about herself that way. It's very supportive. But I think that her TikTok was important because I think that there's not many of us out there that haven't had a moment or 9 million moments where we're insecure, okay? Or we're not confident, or we feel like we're not good looking enough, or we don't measure up enough, or we look heavier than somebody else, or we don't look good enough, And I think that is, like, that's an important conversation. And I think that she brought it to the forefront. So I think the conversation is important from that point. I think it's interesting that she just came out with this filter thing, though, and talking about, like, she doesn't use filters at all, when a lot of people have, like, shown that she uses filters. So it was interesting to me when I saw this Robert Welsh thing come up, because that's immediately what I thought about was this Michaela TikTok that she just put out. Because I'm thinking, is Michaela going to use this as her excuse? That she's never used filters and that's AI? Is she going to use, because here's the thing, right? Robert Welsh has a lot of integrity within the beauty influencer space. Mikayla Nogueira, not so much. And part of it is because she hasn't really ever addressed her issues that she's gotten herself into trouble with. I said this years ago, okay, with Lashgate. If she would have addressed those issues and said, you guys are right, this is what I did, I will never do it again going forward, she would have earned a lot of integrity. She chose not to do that. She doubled down and came out on a Valentine video and said, we're going to address the elephant in the room. Yes, I'm doing a Valentine's Day look. If she had addressed that, she doesn't really care, I don't think. Like, I was talking to a friend of mine today that, like, watches all of her TikToks, and she said, yeah, I'm kind of really over Michaela. And I said, why? And she goes, she's just all about the money. She doesn't really care what she does anymore. It's just all about the money. That was the same criticism that Jaclyn Hill got years ago. So, and this was a friend of mine that used to like Michaela back in the day. And so she said, everything that she does, you can just tell it's for the money, it's for the money, it's for the money. Well, at that point then, you don't really care about your integrity anymore. You don't really care about yourself as a beauty influencer. And, you know, I think when you look at people like Robert Welsh, who has a lot of integrity within the community, and he doesn't have the kind of following that Mikayla Nogueira has, okay? Has it benefited her to chase the dollar? Yes, financially it has. But I don't know at the end of the day what's more important to you, your dollar or your integrity. Because a lot of these people that have made tons and tons of money on influencer spaces don't have the integrity that these other people do. And I think it's interesting because when you read the comments under here, nobody is questioning whether Robert is using filters and he's lying about it. If Michaela had put up this exact same TikTok and said it's Instagram and they're doing this, it would be a completely different narrative. People would be saying she's lying about it. She's been using filters for years. And this is where I think the discussion of integrity is important when it comes to beauty influencer space, okay? Robert Welsh is somebody that when he has got something wrong, he's admitted it. He is very honest, brutally honest in his reviews. I think that people really like Robert by and large, okay? Not that he hasn't, you know, messed up time to time, but people really, really like him and they like his reviews. So he has a lot of integrity when it comes to the beauty influencer space. Michaela, I think people watch her because she's constantly getting all this PR. She does these hyped up videos. There's a lot of drama around her and things like that. And I think that her following knows that that's what she's about. Do I think that at some point that will die out for her and she won't be getting the views? Yes, I do. So I hope that she's saving her money because I don't think it'll last. I mean, Jaclyn Hill right now, it's not like she's doing real, you know, great in the influencer world. And that was one of the criticisms. I mean, Michaela would be smart to look at Jaclyn's career. You know, Jaclyn had the lipstick scandal, chose not to come out and address it for a while. Same thing with the Lashgate, you know? People started criticizing, and we know that Michaela has looked up to Jaclyn. You know, Michaela, people are now criticizing her and saying that she's a sellout and all she talks about is the money and high expensive things. People said the same thing about Jaclyn Hill. Jaclyn Hill started talking about being on food stamps and working at the Mac counter and blah, 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 or the counter at Ulta or whatever. And now all of a sudden, you know, people are saying, like, she lives in a 10,000 square foot house and all she talks about is Chanel purses and she's just a sellout. That's a big comment I've gotten on my videos through the years with Jaclyn Hill. And now Jaclyn Hill, like, she's constantly, you know, like, she hardly ever puts out YouTube videos or TikToks. They just don't, I mean, she's saying that she's getting hidden in the algorithm. I still think she gets pretty good views on her TikToks and her Instagram and stuff like that. But anyway, when you go underneath here and you read some of the comments about Robert Welsh, well, you know, actually, before I get into this, let me show you the TikTok and the Instagram reel that I put up. It's very, very short. I'll show it to you guys, and then I will read the comments. Here you go.
What is going on with my face here? Someone please explain this to me. So I had a bit of a thing the other week with somebody who told me that they saw a filter on one of my videos. This video was talking about a product that was meant to help you stop sweating. And I tested it. I don't use filters on videos where I'm using something that gives a visual finish, right? A visual result. I will use a filter in a video if I've just woken up and I look like crap. Or I'm not selling anything, or I'm not talking about a product that affects the skin, right? When this person was telling me that I had put a filter on this video, I was like, I do not know what you're talking about. You are really annoying me. If you know me, I do not use filters or lie about products. I'm blocking you. So I did. But they were adamant there was a filter on my video. And I, of course, was adamant that there wasn't. I spoke about this in my stories, and then people were messaging me saying, oh, YouTube and Instagram are putting filters on people's videos. I was like, that's not me, because I can't see the filter. And also, sometimes when you upload an Instagram video, Instagram will lessen the quality, and YouTube Shorts does it even more, right? So it may look like your skin is incredibly smooth, even though you're trying to upload the best quality you can. Tell me why. Somebody sent me this. This is them watching one of my videos. Look how crazy this gets. My eyes get bigger, my mouth gets bigger. I have not filtered this video. They have not filtered this video. This is what they are seeing. They sent me this saying, like, why is there this crazy filter on your video? I did not put that on there. This is on Instagram. This is on Instagram's platform. This is a video I did after a brand sent me PR and I wanted to show it off. So are there two versions of this video? One where my face is going crazy and one where it's just normal. Is anyone else seeing this? But what I do find really strange is the video where I blocked that person, the video was about my skin and they said there was a filter on my skin. This video is about lips, and there is a filter on my mouth. What is going on? Can someone help me shed some light on this? Because I am very confused.
Okay, so that's what Robert Welsh had to say. Now, the reason why this was interesting to me in comparison, or comparing it to what Michaela says, is that I'm wondering if Michaela will be able to use this. If this is a discussion that's going to start to happen, that YouTube Shorts and Instagram and possibly TikTok are AI putting on filters on people's videos. Although Robert seems to be talking about this is something that's been happening just recently. Michaela's been accused of using filters for years. So, I mean, literally for like the last 3 to 4 years, she's been accused of this. I don't know that she can go back that far and use it as an excuse. But if this is a conversation that's going to be a big deal, that all these AI generated things and they're like, doing things to the lips and the mouth and the eyes and things like that, if that's going to be a discussion that people are going to start having, that AI generated stuff is happening to YouTube. What's interesting to me about this is that on YouTube, there is a thing you have to check when you upload your video. If you've used any AI voices or anything, like your channel can be taken down if you don't check that video where it says like if you've used any AI whatsoever. So the fact that AI or YouTube Shorts is doing it without your awareness is very interesting to me. Because YouTube, it seems to be pretty careful about AI stuff. I'm not so sure about Instagram. I have never heard of this before I saw this post about Robert Welsh. So I was really surprised about this. But if this is going to become a discussion, then is this going to be an excuse that Michaela is going to use and say, well, see, I haven't been using filters all along. TikTok's been doing it to me. He doesn't really talk about TikTok, though. He talks about Instagram and YouTube in his thing. Somebody said, creators should maybe try to upload 2 versions of the same video, one on Instagram and one on YouTube, to corroborate how it is something that they're not doing themselves. Somebody said YouTube has been doing similar or experimenting with adding filters and AI voiceovers. They go on and on. Somebody said that's a great idea, and he kind of mentions this in the video that it appears to happen only on Instagram, and he mentioned he can't see it himself so he's saying that it doesn't. If he says it only happens on Instagram, he's saying that it doesn't happen on TikTok. So I don't know that Michaela can use that as an excuse. Apparently, he did a whole video about it. YouTube Shorts is also AI, upscaling videos without the creator's permission. People have started noticing that their YouTube Shorts videos have that weird fake plastic look that I have not noticed that. And I haven't heard anybody else mention this. So this is news to me. I'm not saying that it's not true. I'm just saying I haven't heard of that. So, but I don't do YouTube Shorts. I think I've done like 5 total. Somebody said not makeup related, but there have been several YouTube creators who've shown that their shorts are being affected by AI. Okay, interesting. I'm gonna have to look into this. Most of my shorts get compressed both on IG and YouTube. I can't tell if my skin on my TikTok videos gets automatically filtered. Oh, this is interesting. Not using the retouch filter or if it's my bad lighting. I sometimes film my makeup on the app itself, but I'll have to see if it's different in just the camera. Somebody said TikTok automatically applies a filter. So if that's the case, then is Michaela going to be able to come out and this is going to be her defense about? Because I've never heard this before, that TikTok automatically applies a filter, but I don't go to TikTok very much. I haven't really heard a whole lot about this. Somebody said, I'm so glad he talked about this. Somebody said, what the actual fuck? We live in the worst timeline. The AI bubble needs to burst already. Somebody said, I just saw this and definitely believe it's the new language changing AI for other countries. It changes the mouth movements. Oh, that could be it. Somebody said, I heard YouTube is doing it. I don't know about Instagram. Not a lot of people are talking about TikTok on here, though. Somebody said, I had no idea that this was happening to people. This is appalling. How do they think it's okay to mess with people's original content without permission? Somebody said, Instagram literally did the same just now on this exact video. Thought it was a satire or intentional. Robert's part, just it's crazy. They're all talking about Instagram and, somebody said in here, I was waiting for him to apologize to the person he blocked, and somebody said he may have privately, because he talked about blocking that person. Underneath the Instagram, somebody asks him about it, and he actually said no, and the reason he didn't know what their name was when he went back to look, and that also they came across as very rude, and so that was why he blocked him. It wasn't just because they asked a question, so he said he didn't unblock him, but he didn't know what their name was either, is what he said, just to address that small part. But I think that this is really, really interesting. I mean, I can't imagine that if Instagram and YouTube are doing it, that TikTok's not doing it. I mean, you would think that TikTok would be one of the first people that would be doing it. So, I don't know, this is interesting. I want to play for you Michaela's TikTok, because I think it's an interesting TikTok, and I think a lot of people are talking about it online. So, I'm going to play it for you right here, and then give you some thoughts when I'm done.
I want to address something that's been heavy on my mind for quite a while. My appearance and what I look like. I've said this a million times, and I will defend it until I'm in the grave, that there are no filters on my videos. There's constant confusion about why I look different in person than in my videos. I want to make something very clear. I am aware that I'm not an attractive person. Sorry, I don't know why I'm fucking getting emotional over it. I'm aware that I'm not, like, aesthetically pleasing to look at or, like, photogenic. It's really easy to take a bad photo of me. I don't have the best side profile, which I've talked about and I've shown. Sorry. Ugh. Anyways. I don't know why I look different in person. I don't. Like, I film on the TikTok app with no filters. I'm just sitting here talking to my phone, and this is what I look like. This is what I look like. But in person, I'm not as pretty or, like, attractive. And transparently, there's nothing I can do about that. This is the dumbest video ever. I had zero intention of crying in this. There's nothing I can do about my side profile, okay? I don't have an attractive side profile. And people really like to use that against me. But some photos I see of me, like, out in public, I like how I look. Majority, I don't. Because I'm not a photogenic person, and I'm not someone who is, like, a model. I'm not attractive. So I do my best to look good online, because I'm showing myself to 17 million people, like, sorry that I try to look good. But when you see a photo of me out in public, yeah, I get why I don't look very good. I'm just not photogenic like that. It's like, in a candid photo, I don't look that good. I'm literally prepping my skin with fucking tears. I'm gonna tell you something, like, people who take pictures of me out in public, or, like, any sort of, like, Getty images, like, they don't give a fuck about your insecurities. Like, if you have a stomach shot, like, your stomach is out and that you're insecure about, they don't give a fuck. If you have, like, saggy skin on your arms, which I have, like, excess skin all over my body, they don't give a fuck about that. Like, so yeah, it's gonna show in pictures. It's 3 minutes in, and I should be almost done with my makeup. Hold on. I really need to get myself together, because I'm trying to make a point here. People like to take the pictures of me I post on Instagram versus, like, the candid photos of me out in the wild, and I obviously look totally different, because the people taking the candids of me don't know my angles, don't know what kind of photos I like, don't know my lighting. It's different. It's different. And I look really different when someone else is taking the picture. And I guarantee that you would too. And yes, I edit the pictures. Everyone edits their pictures. But I don't edit them as heavily as people think. I do not edit my body. I'm so sick of that lie. I'm 4'11", I weigh 135 pounds. Does that matter? No. People ask me how I'm a size 2. It's because I'm short and I can fit into a size 2. It's not because I'm skinny. I'm not skinny. My body proportions fit into 2 and 4 because I'm literally tiny. But when you're 4'11", the fat doesn't have a lot of places to go. So yes, I have loose fat on my abs, I have a stomach, I have back rolls. I don't know, like, why do people keep putting pictures of my fat in my comment sections? Do you think I don't know I exist with that? And I've made videos showing it openly. I can literally link it for you. Like, sorry that I like to put my best foot forward on my videos. Like, I'm gonna use the angles I like. I'm gonna use the lighting I like because I want to feel confident. I'm sorry that my stomach fat isn't hanging out of my clothes all the time. It doesn't mean I'm hiding it. Also, like, the constant conversation about my appearance, who gives an actual fuck? Like, literally. Does it even fucking matter what I actually look like? Like, there's so much more shit going on in the world than to care so much about this. And do not hit me with the, yeah, because you're deceiving your eye. No, I'm not. There's no filter on the video. You're just making that up. There is zero deception on the video. Like, this is how I look on the video. Do I look this way all the time? Probably fucking not. It doesn't mean I'm deceiving my audience. Anyways, clearly this has been bothering me for a long time. I'm just exhausted by the constant conversation about what I look like. Like, it's just like, enough. Like, we get it. I don't expect you to understand, but to have thousands of people criticize your appearance every day, it fucks you up. I'm just saying, it does. It would fuck you up too. Like, I don't care what anyone says. My whole life, I have not been considered beautiful. I am aware that I'm not. And it's not easy being a beauty influencer who's not beautiful. People try to break me down for anything they can, but specifically my appearance. There are literally whole ass TikTok accounts dedicated to comparing how I look online versus in real life. Do you know what that fucking does to me? Or do you probably don't even give a shit what it does to me because you don't treat me like a human being. And I'm really like, fuck. I don't want to bring up too much about EDs, but I'm not doing good in that department. It fucking sucks. I refuse to ruin this makeup. I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna get me canceled. I don't fucking care. When I was 60 pounds heavier, people treated me so much kinder about my body, about the way I looked, because I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. But now that I've lost 60 pounds, it's like a sprint to find any flaw on my body that people can. Like, y'all find things wrong with me that I would never have even noticed. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that I get it. I get it. I know I look different in person. There's nothing I can do about it. Anyways, on a more positive note, I'm going to a makeup conference today, which is really fun. I want to try these new Glossier blushes. This is the Cloud Paint in shade Billow. Look at that. Honestly, that is giving ashy. Like that, it's very light. I don't hate it. It's very purple. Anyways, guys, I'm sorry for this very much derailed video. I just don't get why we're still attacking people for their appearance in 2025. Like, y'all are all about anti-bullying, anti-this and that until you're not. I'm just asking for, like, a little bit of grace. Like, I get the whole wanting to make fun of me and hating me and not liking me and wanting my career to end and me to fail and blah, blah, blah. But, like, if we can just settle down on the appearance thing, then I'll be fine. Regardless, the world will keep fucking spinning. But, I don't know. I just had to get this out. I've been holding it in for so fucking long. At the end of the day, none of what I'm saying matters, and I'm not asking you to feel bad for me or even care about what I'm saying. I just feels good to let it out, and now I can move on. Underneath solves all my problems. This is the ABH lip liner in Mocha, one of my favorites. Then I bought a new lipstick to try, Giorgio Armani shade 102. It looks like a really pretty, like, pink nude. Oh, is it a satin finish? I mean, pretty. I don't know why I thought it was gonna be matte, but I still like it. Anyways, I love you guys. Sorry for being a literal crybaby in this video.
Okay, so that's Mikayla's TikTok. I thought it was a sad TikTok. I don't know. It makes me sad. You know, you think about that. I think this is like maybe one of the unspoken truths of like living your life online or the influencer space. I hate the word influencer. I think it's a phony word, but anyway, it applies to her. She's influencing a lot of people. But that, you know, you get like followers and people and things like that, and it's not somewhat of a lonely or sad space to still be in. Just because you're on camera and people tell you good things about yourself doesn't mean that in your head you're not scripting negative thoughts or whatever. I mean, I think a lot of that is why, you know, so many of us online go see therapists and do self-help work and things like that. And, you know, the other thing that I think isn't really talked about is like, as I'm filming this, I'm looking at myself in the camera. Now, I don't have my reading glasses on, so I'm a little blurry right now. But, you know, when I watch it back on the computer, I'm picking things out constantly. You know, like, oh, there was a piece of fuzz over here, or my hair looks stupid, or whatever. I've kind of gotten over that through the years. I'm kind of like, I just throw on a t-shirt and a hat. I'm not a makeup influencer like Mikayla. If I was a makeup influencer where I'm like looking at every aspect of my skin and like, you know, and all that kind of stuff. She talks about her arms. I so relate to the arm thing. You know, I so relate to that. I think it would be really, really hard. And it's not something that a lot of beauty influencers talk about. How you're constantly looking at yourself on the TikTok or on the phone or in your photos for Instagram, and you're picking yourself apart. And I think we live in a society where we do that anyway. I think we live in a society where we're constantly picking ourselves apart, and we have these unreal expectations for what we should look like, you know? And, you know, I was talking about this in one of my videos the other day. I think it was my vlog video on my Peter Vlogs channel, that I read this article years ago about these influencers, and it was showing like these sets that they would go to, and they would pay like $100 to go to these sets. You know, you see all these influencers like on private jets and stuff, right? And then it would show them, and it would just be like the inside of a private jet, and they would go there and like toast champagne and take a picture, but it was all fake, right? And then there'd be like this like scene of like, you know, Bora Bora or something, and they would take like a picture of them in the ocean, or it was all fake. And I thought, who is going to those links to fake it for, like, that is so sad to me, that what people think of you online is more important to you than how you feel about yourself inside. And so when I watched this TikTok of Mikayla, the first thing I thought about was, this woman has millions of followers online. She has millions of people that like her. She has a lot of people that are criticizing her too, you know? As a person, as a sober person, I think this applies to a lot of people. I've said this a long time, but I can walk into a room of 100 people, and the one person that doesn't like me is the person whose attention I'm gonna focus on. Because, you know, and that goes back from being bullied when I was a kid and things like that. It's also, I think, an addict behavior that like, I want, you know, you seek the approval of people that don't like you. You want people to like you, you know? But here's this woman that has millions of people online that love her, that look up to her. She's got a fantastic life, you know, she's got a husband that loves her. Yes, they've had troubles, they've had things that they've gone through, but they seem to be doing well today. You know, she's got a beautiful home, she's got more money than she knows what to do with, and yet none of that matters in the grand scheme of things, you know, because she's spiraling in her head, and I think that makes me sad. And I think that we look at influencers and we think that they're not human beings that have feelings and thoughts, and I'm not excusing the things that she's done that she needed to take accountability and responsibility for. I'm just saying that I think when we step back from that and we look, that all these people at the end of the day have the same thoughts and the same things that we do, you know? I think that's why we need to normalize, not just, you know, it's one of the reasons we need to normalize what normal life looks like, okay? And that we're probably never gonna, I mean, half the people that act like they're flying in jets are in a set in Hollywood that they paid $100 for. But we think that that's what normal life looks like. For me, that's when the veil of Oz was lifted away, you know? It's one of the reasons why when I got on YouTube, I was like, if I'm going to talk about our marriage, my husband, I always point over because this is where he sleeps. But if I'm going to talk about my marriage, I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to talk about being in marriage counseling and how it's been helpful to us. I'm going to talk about how our marriage has not been easy. You know, my husband and I just celebrated 17 years together and 14 years married. It's been tough. But it's been worth it. And, you know, one of the reasons why I did that was because years and years and years ago, before I was ever on YouTube, I watched a lot of gay couples. And I don't think any of them are together today, sadly. Makes me sad. It's not like a, you know, whatever. It just makes me sad. But they would come on video and they'd be like, you know, like, oh my God, we're so happy we love each other. And I would say to my husband, they're so happy they love each other. And he goes, nobody is that happy all the time. Yes, they are. Can you see they are this happy all the time? No, he'd say, that's fake. That's for the camera. I just could not believe it. I was like, no, they seem so happy, you know? And then we'd fight over, like, should we have, you know, pizza or order Chinese food? And I'd be like, we're not like that couple. They just go to Chipotle and they're so happy, you know? And I remember thinking that. When I got online, I was like, I'm not doing that. Because that is so misleading to people out there, that is what marriage is, or a relationship is supposed to look like. That is not reality. And I think that we need to start normalizing what reality looks like, whether that's pull away the filter or not, you know? I think this discussion of filter is really interesting. I think it's going to be this AI filter thing is going to be a bigger discussion that comes out. And it's going to be interesting to me to see what Michaela does with it. If that's going to be an excuse that she uses to say that she hasn't filtered, because this is something that just started recently. But Michaela has been called out for filters for years. I don't know if she's using them or not. She swears that she does not use filters, but some of her TikToks look highly filtered to me. So I don't know. And like I said, if she wants to, she can filter that thing all the way until she looks like a cartoon character. I don't care. As long as she is not selling products to a consumer and doing a dishonest presentation of what the product should be, because then that's dishonest. So anyway, let me know what you think about all that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.